Heavy metal music has long been associated with violent imagery and aggressive attitude. Robert Walser argues that the dominant stereotype of heavy metal is brutishly simple, debilitatingly negative, and violent. While this may sound like a negative take on the genre, Helene writes that metal requires a sense of rejection, especially for fans, in order to thrive. The stereotype of violence allows aficionados of the genre to have a sense of solidarity as a community, and for bands to achieve a sense of authenticity and subcultural capital, especially for those bands and fans in extreme metal subgenres such as black metal. Things become difficult for bands, however, when their music becomes associated with real violence. This is even more true when the violence in question is wrapped up in a state-sponsored war. In 2003, several major news outlets began to run stories bringing to light that the U.S. Army's Psychological Operations Company had been using music as a method of so-called enhanced interrogation in Guantanamo Bay. Inmates would be bound, placed in a room, and subjected to very loud music for hours at a time. Often this music would be heavy metal, such as Metallica or Drowning Pool. Drowning Pool, whose song Bodies became notoriously associated with Gitmo torture and was even reportedly used by U.S. soldiers on the ground in Iraq as a soundtrack for battle, had a very controversial reaction to the news of their music being used. Bassist Stevie Benton initially said he saw the use of the song for interrogation as an honor. With the band appearing to have expressed support for illegal torture, Bodies would be pulled from some radio stations. The band quickly issued a retraction and attempted to run damage control on Benton's statement, stating that their main intention was to support our young men and women in uniform. This new stance served the band well, as the song would continue to be wildly popular among the band's military fans. Drowning Pool's attempts at negotiating a reaction to their music being associated with torture would set a pattern for future scandals. In February 2013, the Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden came forward to give an interview to Esquire magazine. In the interview, he mentioned the names of two U.S. heavy metal bands, Metallica and Demon Hunter. Though his phrasing was perhaps unclear, it appeared that the SEAL was claiming that Metallica had asked that their music not be used for interrogations, and that Demon Hunter had then volunteered their music for that purpose. Almost immediately after the interview came out, online rock news sites and discussion forums exploded with vehemently positive and negative reactions to the interview. Some questioned how Demon Hunter, a self-proclaimed Christian band, could volunteer their music and image to be used for killing. Some commenters were upset with Metallica, one claiming that respectable metal fans wouldn't whine like the emo hipster tree huggers, and that legitimate heavy metal music was all about killing shit. It seemed as though no matter how the bands would respond, they were going to upset a lot of people. After several days of silence, each band responded. Both claimed that they had neither endorsed nor condemned the use of their music in interrogations. Demon Hunter even went so far as to characterize recent discussion of the torture techniques as an unnecessary distraction, and that the debate about enhanced interrogation techniques is for politicians, military intelligence, pundits, and others of the like to have. The band preferred to focus on how much they supported the troops, saying, "The members of SEAL Team 6 are American heroes who deserve our support." Arguably learning from Drowning Pool's experiences, neither band opted to pass any judgment on interrogation, disassociating themselves from the issue, and only taking the stance of supporting the individual troops. We have seen that due to the inherently violent image of heavy metal as a genre, bands such as Metallica, Demon Hunter, and Drowning Pool all have an obligation to perpetuate aggressive imagery in their music. This is complicated when the music is appropriated for use in real violent acts, such as torture or combat missions. Bands have few good options when they are caught in such a situation. They risk losing their subcultural capital with genre fans by decrying the violence and not presenting an appropriate amount of aggression. They also risk losing media and radio support by appearing to support illegal brutality. By focusing on supporting the troops and serving their military fans, bands can direct attention away from the violence and their music's role in it, thereby retaining their image of violence without showing support for real violence. They also stand to gain and maintain a strong military fan base.